Hollywood sold us the weddings, the diamonds, and the perfect smiles. But behind closed doors, some of its most glamorous love stories were already turning into nightmares. Betrayal, addiction, secret affairs, brutal accusations, and courtroom wars destroyed couples millions once envied. And some of these breakups were far darker than anyone watching the red carpet could have imagined. Number 1. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. It began like a Hollywood fantasy and ended like a courtroom thriller the world could not stop watching. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard met while making The Rum Diary, married in 2015. And little more than a year later, their romance had exploded into divorce and allegations of abuse. Depp denied Heard's accusations, and suddenly Captain Jack Sparrow was no longer fighting fictional enemies. His private life had become the story, with every photo recording and accusation feeding the fire. Then came the sequel no studio could have scripted. Depp sued Heard for defamation over her 2018 Washington Post op-ed, and in 2022, the Virginia trial became a global spectacle. Cameras captured testimony, lawyers traded accusations, old messages resurfaced, and social media turned every expression into a meme. The jury found Heard liable for defaming Depp on all 3 statements at issue, while also finding Depp liable on one of Heard's counterclaims through a statement made by his former attorney. When the appeals were settled in December 2022, the marriage was long gone, but the spectacle had permanently changed both public images. Depp's supporters celebrated what they saw as vindication. Heard's supporters argued that the online frenzy had become cruel and one-sided. Either way, this was no ordinary breakup. It was romance, accusation, fame, money, and the internet thrown into one explosive machine, proving that in Hollywood, a broken heart can become a worldwide event. Number 2. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. For years, Kim Kardashian and Kanye West looked less like a married couple and more like an empire with matching outfits. She ruled reality television and social media. He was one of music's biggest and most unpredictable stars. Their lavish 2014 wedding in Florence felt almost absurdly perfect, followed by 4 children magazine covers, fashion shows, mansions, and enough cameras to document nearly every glamorous second. Kimye seemed untouchable. But behind all that polished perfection, the marriage was slowly becoming something neither fame nor money could fix. By February 2021, Kim filed for divorce after more than 6 years of marriage, and suddenly the private cracks became public entertainment. Kanye repeatedly spoke about wanting his family back, while Kim tried to move forward. Then Pete Davidson entered the picture, and the breakup turned into a pop culture circus. Kanye criticized Pete publicly and referenced him in music and social media posts, while headlines followed every new development. It was messy, uncomfortable, occasionally surreal, and watched by millions like a reality show nobody could switch off. Only this time there were 4 children standing in the middle of the spectacle. In March 2022, a judge declared Kim legally single. By November, the former couple had reached a divorce settlement involving joint custody, with Kanye required to pay $200,000 a month in child support. The billionaire fantasy was officially finished. What remained was something far less glamorous: 2 enormous celebrities trying to untangle a family, while the entire planet watched. Kim and Kanye once turned romance into a global brand. Then they proved the cruel joke behind celebrity perfection. Number 3. Khloe Kardashian and Lamar Odom. 1 month. That was all it took for Khloe Kardashian and NBA star Lamar Odom to go from strangers to husband and wife in 2009. It was reckless romantic and exactly the kind of love story reality television dreams about. Their wedding became part of the Kardashian machine. Their chemistry looked genuine, and soon they even had their own show. For a while, Lamar seemed like the gentle giant who had somehow found a home inside America's most famous family. But while viewers saw kisses, jokes, and luxury vacations, something much darker was already creeping into the marriage. Rumors of infidelity collided with Lamar's growing problems with drugs, and the fairy tale began collapsing faster than producers could edit around it. Khloe filed for divorce in 2013, but the most terrifying chapter had not even happened yet. In October 2015, Lamar was found unconscious at a Nevada brothel after a near-fatal medical emergency linked to drug use. Suddenly, the cheating headlines and reality TV arguments felt painfully small. Khloe rushed to his side and put the divorce proceedings on hold while he fought for his life. The woman who had every reason to walk away became one of the people helping him survive. But surviving a crisis does not magically repair everything that came before it. Once Lamar recovered, their marriage still carried years of broken trust, addiction, and emotional damage. Khloe eventually moved forward with the divorce, which became final in 2016. Lamar would later speak publicly about his regrets and the pain of losing her. They really did seem to love each other, but love was asked to fight battles it could not win. Their marriage began like a television fantasy and ended beside a hospital bed, proving that sometimes the saddest ending is not when love disappears, but when love is still there, and staying together is no longer possible. Number 4. Mike Tyson and Robin Givens. In 1988, Mike Tyson looked like the most terrifying man on earth. At just 21, he was the undisputed heavyweight champion, destroying opponents with frightening speed, while millions watched in awe. Then came Robin Givens, the beautiful actress from Head of the Class, polished, intelligent, and seemingly the perfect opposite to Iron Mike. They married in February 1988, and on paper it looked almost ridiculous in its perfection. But while Tyson was knocking men unconscious inside the ring, his marriage was quietly becoming the fight he could not control. 7 months later, sitting beside him during a Barbara Walters interview, Givens described their marriage as torture and pure hell, and spoke about Tyson's frightening temper. Tyson remained beside her as she talked. Here was a man opponents feared even approaching, suddenly silent, while his wife described being afraid of him. Givens later filed for divorce and alleged spousal abuse. Tyson disputed the portrayal of their relationship, and the breakup exploded into accusations, lawsuits. The romance had lasted barely long enough to survive its own wedding photographs. By 1989, the marriage was finished. Givens faced vicious public backlash and was branded by critics as a woman chasing Tyson's fortune, while Tyson's image outside the ring became increasingly tangled with controversy. What makes their story so haunting is not simply that two celebrities divorced. It is the image America could not forget: Robin speaking calmly, while one of the most feared fighters alive sat inches away. Tyson could knock out heavyweight contenders in minutes, yet fame, money, and raw power could not save a marriage collapsing in front of millions. Number 5. Hulk Hogan and Linda Hogan. For years, Hulk Hogan sold more than wrestling. He sold the perfect American family. With Linda beside him, 2 famous children, beachfront mansions, and Hogan knows best, turning their home into entertainment. They looked almost untouchable. Hulk and Linda had been married since 1983, surviving fame, fortune, and decades in the spotlight. But in 2007, after nearly 24 years together, Linda filed for divorce. Suddenly, the family America had watched laughing on television was collapsing in real life. Then came the accusations. Linda publicly spoke about alleged infidelity and controlling behavior, while reports linked Hogan to Christiane Plante, a woman who had been close to their daughter Brooke. Hogan disputed some of the harshest claims, but the damage to his family man image was already done. Their divorce became a bitter fight over money, property, and years of resentment. The man famous for body-slamming giants was now fighting to keep his fortune and reputation from being torn apart in court. The divorce was finalized in 2009, leaving behind more than broken vows. Linda received a significant share of their assets, while Hogan later admitted the split devastated him emotionally and financially. That is what makes their story so painfully ironic. Hogan Knows Best was supposed to show America a strong celebrity family. Instead, it became a time capsule of a marriage already cracking behind the smiles. Hulk Hogan spent his career the unbeatable hero, but the hardest defeat of his life never happened inside a wrestling ring. It happened at home. Number 6. Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey. America thought it was watching newlywed bliss. What it was really watching was a marriage slowly becoming entertainment. Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey married in 2002, two young pop stars with good looks, hit songs, and enough chemistry to make MTV come knocking. Then newlyweds Nick and Jessica premiered in 2003, turning their private life into television gold. The ratings climbed, the jokes spread everywhere, and suddenly being married was not just their relationship, it was their job. The more successful the show became, the less room the couple seemed to have for an ordinary marriage. Jessica's career expanded into movies, music endorsements, and a celebrity image far bigger than before, while their arguments and differences were packaged for millions of viewers. Every awkward moment could become a punchline. Every disagreement had an audience. Behind the cute television chemistry, pressure was building, and by November 2005, the couple announced they were separating. Jessica filed for divorce the following month. Suddenly, America's favorite newlyweds were not newlyweds anymore. They were another Hollywood marriage being dismantled under the same spotlight that had made them famous. Their divorce was finalized in June 2006, ending a relationship that had become one of the defining celebrity romances of the early 2000s. There was no courtroom circus like Depp and Heard, no terrifying medical emergency like Lamar Odom, just something quieter and strangely sadder. Two young people had invited millions into their home, and eventually there was no private world left for the marriage to hide inside. Newlyweds made Jessica and Nick unforgettable, but it also preserved every laugh, eye roll, and uncomfortable silence forever. Number 7. Kelsey Grammer and Camille Grammer. Camille Grammer thought she was stepping into a glamorous new chapter when she joined the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Instead, cameras were quietly capturing the collapse of her 13-year marriage. She and Frasier star Kelsey Grammer shared 2 children, enormous wealth, and the kind of Beverly Hills lifestyle viewers were supposed to envy. But while Camille filmed mansions, parties, and champagne-soaked dinners, Kelsey was spending much of his time in New York, where he had begun a relationship with British flight attendant Kate Walsh. In July 2010, Camille filed for divorce, and suddenly the fantasy became public humiliation. Kelsey acknowledged the new relationship, and soon news emerged that Kate was pregnant. For Camille, there was almost nowhere to hide. Millions of viewers watched pieces of her heartbreak unfold on television, while tabloids filled in the darker details. The show was supposed to be about luxury and drama, but no producer could have scripted something this cruel. Camille had entered reality TV to show off her life. Instead, America watched that life split apart. Their divorce became final in February 2011, and just weeks later, Kelsey married Kate in New York. Camille was left rebuilding after more than a decade with the man who had already moved into another chapter. The breakup became one of the most memorable early stories in Housewives' history because the betrayal was not hidden behind a Hollywood press statement. It unfolded in front of an audience. Money bought the mansion, the vacations, and the perfect camera angles. But when the marriage collapsed, none of it could buy loyalty or a graceful ending. Number 8. Ellen DeGeneres and Anna Hetch. In 1997, simply walking onto a red carpet together was enough to shake Hollywood. Ellen DeGeneres had just publicly come out, and Anna Hetch was a rising movie star with major roles ahead of her. When the two fell in love and stopped hiding it, they became one of Hollywood's most visible same-sex couples almost overnight. Some fans celebrated their courage. Others treated their relationship like a scandal. Anne later said she was warned against bringing Ellen to the premiere of Volcano, but she did it anyway. What should have been a glamorous movie night suddenly felt like an act of rebellion. The price of that honesty was brutal. Ellen faced enormous backlash after coming out, while Anne later said her relationship with Ellen cost her professional opportunities. Their romance was being judged not only as a relationship, but as a cultural battle neither woman had asked to carry alone. Every appearance became a statement. Every photograph became news. By August 2000, after roughly 3 years together, Ellen and Anne announced that their relationship was over. They went in different directions, but those 3 years remained impossible to erase from Hollywood history. Ellen eventually rebuilt her career and became one of television's biggest stars. Anne continued acting through a complicated personal journey until her death in 2022 at age 53. Their love story did not end with a wedding or a perfect Hollywood sunset. Instead, it left something more bittersweet behind. They helped push open a door that future couples could walk through more freely, but they were among the ones who had to absorb the blows while that door was still barely open. Which of these Hollywood love stories shocked you the most? And do you still believe true love can survive fame, money, and betrayal? Comment the couple's name below and type yes if you still believe. Number 9. Mariah Carey and Tommy Mottola. Mariah Carey had the voice, the beauty, and a career exploding across America. Tommy Mottola had something just as powerful: control over one of the biggest record companies in the business. He helped launch her career, and in 1993, when Mariah was 23, they married in a lavish ceremony that looked like a royal fantasy. But years later, Mariah described that glamorous life very differently. Behind the mansion gates, designer clothes, and chart-topping records, she said she felt trapped, watched, and increasingly unable to make simple choices for herself. Mariah later nicknamed the mansion Sing Sing after the famous prison. She said the relationship restricted both her personal freedom and the music she wanted to create. The fairy tale suddenly looked less like Cinderella and more like a beautiful castle with locked doors. Mottola later acknowledged that he had been controlling. The irony was brutal. Mariah's voice could reach millions of people around the world, yet inside her own marriage she felt she was slowly losing control of her own life. Fame kept getting bigger while her freedom seemed to grow smaller. The couple separated in 1997 and divorced in 1998. After leaving, Mariah began reshaping her music image and career on her own terms, embracing a freer and more confident version of herself. What once looked like the perfect marriage became one of the darkest chapters behind her rise to superstardom. She entered that world surrounded by luxury and walked away with a painful lesson. Success is not freedom, money is not protection, and even the most beautiful cage is still a cage when someone else holds the key. Number 10. Mel B and Stephen Belafonte. On stage, Mel B was Scary Spice, the fearless symbol of girl power, who seemed capable of taking on anyone. Offstage, her marriage was telling a very different story. Mel married producer Stephen Belafonte in 2007. And for years, the couple smiled together at premieres and celebrity events. But in March 2017, after nearly a decade of marriage, Mel filed for divorce. What followed shattered the glamorous image completely. In court documents, she accused Belafonte of years of physical and emotional abuse, threats, and controlling behavior. Belafonte denied the allegations. Suddenly, one of pop music's loudest voices was describing a life in which she said she had felt frightened and powerless. Mel obtained a temporary restraining order, and the divorce quickly became a vicious public battle involving custody money and deeply personal accusations. The irony was painful. Millions had watched her shout about girl power with the Spice Girls, while she later said that behind closed doors, she was struggling to hold herself together. Fame could fill arenas, but apparently it could not make a troubled home feel safe. Their divorce was finalized in 2018, but Mel has continued speaking about how difficult it was to rebuild emotionally and financially afterward. Belafonte has continued to deny abusing her and has challenged her allegations publicly. For Mel, walking away became less about another celebrity divorce and more about reclaiming the woman she felt she had lost. Scary Spice once made strength look loud, wild, and fearless. Years later, her story suggested something far more painful. Sometimes strength is simply finding the courage to leave, start again, and learn how to trust your own life. Number 11. Denise Richards and Aaron Pfeiffer's. Denise Richards had already survived enough Hollywood drama to fill several seasons of reality television, so when she married Aaron Pfeiffer's in Malibu in 2018, the relationship looked like a calmer second act. He appeared beside her on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, supported her family, and years later even joined Denise Richards and her Wild Things. But in July 2025, the peaceful image suddenly shattered when Aaron filed for divorce after nearly 7 years of marriage. Within days, what looked like another celebrity breakup became something far darker. Denise accused Aaron in court documents of years of physical and emotional abuse, including frightening threats and violent incidents. Aaron strongly denied the allegations and later made accusations of his own. Denise obtained a temporary restraining order, and the marriage that once played out casually in front of reality TV cameras was suddenly being examined through lawyers' court filings and painful public claims. The irony was almost cruel. Hollywood had once paid Denise to perform drama. Now the most disturbing storyline was happening in her actual life. In November 2025, a judge granted Denise a 5-year restraining order against Aaron. The glamorous Malibu wedding photographs now belonged to a completely different chapter. What makes their story so unsettling is how quickly the image changed. 1 year, audiences were watching a celebrity family on television. The next, they were watching two people describe completely different versions of the same marriage. In Hollywood, cameras can capture the smiles, the kisses, and the perfect house. What they cannot always capture is what happens after the doors close. Number 12. Nicolas Cage and Erica Koich. Only Nicolas Cage could turn a wedding into a Hollywood plot twist before the honeymoon even started. In March 2019, The Oscar-winning actor married makeup artist Erica Koike in Las Vegas after the couple had been dating for about a year. There was no giant celebrity ceremony, no endless magazine countdown, just a marriage license, a Vegas wedding, and what looked like another unpredictable chapter in Cage's already colorful personal life. Then came the punchline nobody expected. 4 days later, Cage filed for an annulment. 4 days. Some Hollywood press tours last longer than that. According to court filings reported at the time, Cage claimed he and Koike had been drinking heavily before the wedding and argued that he was too intoxicated to fully understand what he was doing. Suddenly, the marriage became instant tabloid gold. The actor famous for stealing the Declaration of Independence in National Treasure had apparently made one decision even he wanted erased immediately. But an annulment was not granted, and the legal process continued as a divorce instead. By the end, one of Hollywood's shortest marriages had become one of its strangest relationship stories. There was no decade of betrayal, no reality show documenting the collapse, and no courtroom spectacle broadcast to millions. Just one impulsive Las Vegas wedding, followed almost immediately by regret. For Cage, it became another legendary entry in a life already filled with eccentric headlines. For everyone watching, it offered a painfully funny reminder that in Vegas saying "I do" can apparently take less time than realizing you probably should not have. Number 13. Burt Reynolds and Lonnie Anderson. In the 1980s, Burt Reynolds and Lonnie Anderson looked like Hollywood had designed them in a laboratory. He was the mustached box office king with swagger to spare. She was the glamorous WKRP and Cincinnati star whose smile belonged on magazine covers. After years together, they married in 1988 and adopted a son, Quentin. To fans, it looked like two television fantasies had collided and somehow produced the perfect marriage. But behind those camera-ready smiles, resentment, money problems, and accusations were quietly building. By 1993, the fantasy exploded. Reynolds filed for divorce, and what followed became one of Hollywood's nastiest public breakups. He accused Anderson of extravagant spending and later admitted he had been unfaithful. Anderson, meanwhile, accused Reynolds of emotional and physical abuse allegations he disputed. Suddenly, two stars who once posed lovingly for photographers were attacking each other through interviews and court proceedings. Hollywood had sold them as a golden couple. Now the public was watching the gold peel off in real time. Their divorce was finalized in 1994, but the financial battles continued for years. Reynolds later called marrying Anderson a terrible mistake, while the divorce contributed to the money troubles that eventually surrounded him. Yet time softened some of the bitterness. After Reynolds died in 2018, Anderson remembered the importance he had held in her life and in their son's life. Their story began with glamour collapsed into tabloid warfare and ended with something unexpectedly human: proof that even after love turns ugly, the memories do not always disappear with the marriage. Number 14. Scarlett Johansson and Ryan Reynolds. Scarlett Johansson and Ryan Reynolds looked almost suspiciously perfect together. She was already one of Hollywood's most magnetic actresses, while Ryan was becoming the charming leading man audiences could not ignore. They began dating in 2007, married quietly in 2008, and kept almost everything about their relationship away from cameras. No reality show, no giant televised wedding, no endless interviews about their love. For once, Hollywood seemed to have found a couple smart enough to hide from the curse. But privacy could protect them from tabloids. It could not protect the marriage itself. As both careers grew, their schedules became harder to balance. Scarlett later suggested that relationships between two successful actors can become complicated when competition enters the picture. The problem was not some explosive cheating scandal or screaming courtroom battle. It was quieter than that, which somehow made it more believable. Two ambitious stars were constantly working, traveling, and trying to build careers at the same time. The chemistry that looked effortless from the outside was apparently much harder to maintain once the cameras stopped rolling. In December 2010, after just over 2 years of marriage, they announced their separation, saying they were leaving the relationship with love and kindness. Their divorce was finalized in 2011. Years later, Scarlett admitted that at 23 she had romanticized marriage and did not fully understand what it required. There was no villain, no spectacular betrayal, just two people who discovered that looking perfect together and actually surviving Hollywood together are very different things. Sometimes the quietest celebrity breakup says the most. Number 15. David Geffen and Donovan Michaels. David Geffen spent decades building an entertainment empire and accumulating a fortune worth billions. Then, in 2023, the legendary music mogul married David Armstrong, a dancer and model better known as Donovan Michaels, roughly 50 years his junior. Their private Beverly Hills wedding instantly fascinated Hollywood. An 80-something billionaire, a glamorous younger husband, luxury homes, private jets, and no prenup. It looked less like an ordinary romance and more like the opening scene of a very expensive drama. By May 2025, Geffen had filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. Then the breakup became explosive. Michaels sued Geffen, claiming their relationship had originally begun as a paid arrangement before evolving into a committed partnership with promises of lifelong financial support. He alleged that Geffen later cut him off and forced him out after the relationship collapsed. Geffen's attorney denied that any such contract ever existed and called the lawsuit false. Suddenly, a marriage once hidden behind yacht photographs and billionaire privacy was spilling its most intimate accusations into court documents. Money may buy discretion, but apparently divorce attorneys come with receipts. The civil lawsuit was later dropped without prejudice in October 2025, and a judge declared the two legally single in November. By April 2026, their remaining legal battle had also reached a settlement. What began as an unlikely Hollywood romance ended as a public argument about love, money, promises, and an enormous imbalance of power. Geffen had spent his career turning artists into stars, but this time the headline was his own marriage. And when billions of dollars are sitting in the background, even a breakup can start looking like a blockbuster.